and welcome to 79 degrees. Well, it's sweltering outside in Adelaide and we're about to head down to the beach. But what I thought I'd take you through today is I've managed to pick these beautiful babies up at the markets yesterday. 10 kilos of tomatoes, which with the heat will turn into sun-dried tomatoes in no time at all. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck these into the laundry basin, give them a good rinse, and I'll come back in a minute. Alright, so now that we've got our tomatoes washed, we'll just go through a few of the finer details. So these are Roma tomatoes. I picked them up from the Adelaide supermarket for $9 for 10 kilos. They're not, as with the tomatoes for sauce baking that I've discussed previously, they're not absolutely perfect. They've got nicks, they've got a few crusty bits in them. All we can do is chop those out. It's still good. Remember, it's going to go outside, so if it's cosmetic, it's going to go outside and shrinkle up. So if it's cosmetic, don't worry so much about it. It'll come good. There are obviously two types of sun-dried tomatoes. You can get the fully dried or the sort of partially dried sun-dried tomatoes. What we're going to make today is we're going to make partially dried sun-dried tomatoes. So it's still going to have a bit of softness left in the flesh itself, so that when we pack it down, chuck it in some jars with some oil, what you do is you have a year's worth of sun-dried tomatoes. The other option is the fully dried, and that really does come out a bit more like beef jerky, which if that's what you like, then that's great, but I tend to find that it doesn't have as many uses as semi-sun-dried. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to whip out the stem, we're going to chop it into thirds, we're going to strip out the seeds, put it on a plate, salt it, and then put it out in the sun to dry. Alright, so all of our tomatoes are now thirded onto the plate, de-seeded, seeds have all been cleaned away. It's time for the next step, which is salting. As a person of German descent, I love salt. It's one of the best things in the world. It makes anything taste good. Well, pretty much anything. And what you want to do is you want to make sure you get a really good handful of salt into each of the tomatoes. Don't forget, as these are actually outside in the sun, what will happen is that the salt will pull water out of the tomato, so you will need to come out and clean and pour the water away, or the liquid that pools, fairly regularly, say once every or twice a day. And as you do that, what will happen is that the salt will actually, you'll pour away a lot of the salt as well. So even though it looks like there's a lot of salt going on, it's about right. So I'll finish doing this, and then we'll stick them outside in the sun and have a look at how they go over the next couple of days. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, they're all salted now. Make sure you get the salt right into the crevices. The more salt that you get in there, the better that it will actually dry. As I said, they won't be as salty at the end because you will pour the water away as they dry. But if you don't get the salt in there, they won't dry quite right. So they're all salted. Let's get them out into the sun and getting the sun doing the right thing, and that's drying them out so they taste beautiful and delicious. What you can see behind me is the beautiful semi-sun-dried tomatoes. So the sun, in its 43-degree wisdom, yesterday has done a number on the bad boys that are on the plate. What you can see, we'll get in nice and close here. What you can see is that they're all dry. See that? Yum. So yesterday these plates were chock-a-block full of moist, wet tomatoes. Now what we've got here is beautiful semi-sun-dried tomatoes. So the next task will really be about getting them into a jar under some oil, and I'll show you that, and any little hints and tips that I've got, I'll show you that a little bit later. Alright, we'll be back after one of these. Yum! Welcome back to 79 degrees. We're in the third and final stage of our sun-dried tomatoes. And what we've actually done is we've done two different sorts because we went 43 degrees. Why would you waste it? We've done some semi-sun-drieds, which we have here, and some fully sun-dried, more like tomato beef jerky here. Ooh. We've got some close-ups. See? Oh, beef jerky tomato versus semi-sun-dried, good for pizza. So they're both good, both very tasty. Beautiful flavour, but as I said before when we started, Roman tomatoes get the best flavour for them. So, third and final stage because you can't eat all of these at once. Right, so what we want to do is we want to pack these down, get them under some oil so that we can keep them for as long as possible. So what I've got here is I've started packing down a jar, see, jar of fully sun-dried tomatoes. And we don't want to fill the entire thing up before we add the oil because you get some pockets of air in there. So what you want to do is get your good extra virgin olive oil. When you see good olive oil at the markets or at the supermarket, discounted, buy yourself a whole heap of it. It doesn't go off and you'll always need it, particularly if you're following any of our recipes. So, get that sucker in there. Alright, make sure, as I said, there's no air pockets. Fill it up. And then make sure you give it a big bang to make sure that you get rid of any air pockets that might be in there. Now, one of the things to remember is that at the end of the process, when you've eaten all the beautiful juicy tomatoes in there, you can also use the oil to cook with. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish packing this up and then I'll come back for a final word. So we started with a big 10 kilo box of beautiful fresh Romas that we got from the markets for $9. We thirded them, pulled out the seeds, put them on some plates, salted them, stuck them out in the sun, and what we've ended up with is 3 big beautiful jars of sun-dried tomatoes, some semi-sun-dried, some fully sun-dried. So look, it's a really easy process. There's no real effort involved. It takes a little bit of time, but what you end up with is a year's worth of beautiful produce that you can pull out of the fridge at any time. You can freeze some down if you're not going to use it all at once, or you can pull it out and just use it, and they go anywhere. They're beautiful in pastas, on pizzas, you name it. I love putting them just on a plate with some cheese and some bread and some nice meat, some salamis and some prosciutto, and just eating it. It's fantastic. It's a great addition to any meal. So look, I hope that you've enjoyed this edition of 79 degrees featuring our sun-dried tomatoes. If you don't have a heat wave where you are, you're welcome to come to Adelaide. We've always got them apparently. Thank you very much for watching and we'll catch up with you soon. See ya.